Well, look, I think the main takeaway out of anything, having been at a number of these sessions so far, is three main keys. The first one's intensity, and that is work out, do I really need to raise this at a formal, very serious level first up? I understand, being a former HR manager myself, that you often get pressure internally where someone comes along and says, look, we've put up with this for too long now, I want the problem solved now. And you just have to have that internal courage to be able to get a proper process, which is my next point. So firstly, working out the intensity, whether you start at low and build to high, but certainly not going immediately with a high intensity response unless it is absolutely warranted and necessary. And generally with underperformance, it would be difficult to imagine circumstances where a high intensity response, where nothing had occurred previously, would be warranted. The second one is a question of reasonableness, and as we've seen, a number of the cases give the extremities, and of course for all the cases that are brought, a very small percentage become arbitrated decisions and then written into or reported decisions, and the challenge then becomes applying your levels of reasonableness. So looking at the courts, what they've decided, the tribunals, and applying it practically. So it's very circumstantial, very fact rich, and you have to be able to work out what's reasonable in your circumstances at your business, and that's taking into account all of the circumstances, your business, the industry, the individuals involved, what they're bringing, how the managers have treated it in the past, issues of proportionality, all of those, they always become factors. So it's with a word of caution that I'd say, don't just rush in and say that case says you're allowed to do that, that and that. Apply it to the circumstances because it is very different. And then finally, it really comes down to a question of process. All of the cases have identified that somewhere along the line, and certainly the speakers have been very, very consistent, that there's very little challenge on the actual conduct of being either good or bad, but there's lots of challenge around the process or the procedural fairness that an employer undertakes when conducting these processes. So think about that there is a lot of value, and probably the focus should be more on procedural fairness and those processes that you undertake, because the real magic is not in working out whether a decision or the conduct or the behaviour is good or bad. They're fairly easy decisions. It's having the ability to go through, reach that end game by having a consistent process that is 100% consistent 100% of the time. And I think if you get all those three together, you're going to be ahead of the pack as well.